wow, do we have a big week ahead of us. So this September 16th week, we have a full moon eclipse. We have a massive kite configuration with the sun happening on Friday. And then on Sunday, we have the equinox with some equally kind of powerful, interesting aspects going on. So this is a wild card kind of a week. Let me give us some overall feels for this week that you can just kind of tap into, feel what's like highlighting, resonating, buzzing for you, kind of lighting you up, and maybe it'll help to just signpost what's going on in this. One, mystic mind. Like the mystical aspects of us really being lit up, a spiritual moment in time. Spiritual awakenings are very prevalent, very, very easily accessible at this moment. Shifting a little bit of gears here, equality in between the masculine and the feminine, demand for equality in our own masculine and feminine, in the masculine and feminine, the world, in all different ways, shapes, and forms. This has nothing to do with gender. This is more like masculine consciousness, feminine life force. How are those two mixing within us? Masculine direction, feminine just raw juice. How are those two dancing within us? Masculine purpose, feminine, we could say love, connection. How are those two? Masculine mind, feminine heart. All those different kind of seemingly dualistic, opposing sort of forces, and ask this week being asked to really bring them into the next level harmony, so that like your masculine do isn't overriding your feminine be. This oftentimes causes a lot of burnout feelings or like overwhelm feelings, right? Or your feminine being emotional side swamping out, let's say your masculine fire drive to get something done. Really asking for this, okay, how can my emotions and the energy of my emotions dance and support my drive and my purpose forward? This can be huge for some of us. This could be for some of us, this will be our eclipse journey, right? There's an eclipse happening on Tuesday. Let me give us some more overall feels and then I'll go kind of day by day. A couple of overall feels. We could be opening the door to some past life territory. So some interesting things could be bubbling up, especially because we have a full moon in Pisces with Neptune. So dreams are loud. Pay attention to dreams, altered states of consciousness, very easy to slip into. The veils are really thin at the moment. Conscious journeys into altered states of consciousness can be very powerful this week, but we really want to make sure that they're guided and we're holding them with a tight intention. We're not doing altered states of consciousness like drugs, alcohol, whatever it is that we're doing in a way to escape. That's kind of the warning, the red flag. We could feel like we just want to escape. We want to numb out. We want to zone out this week. So that's kind of the warning sign. There's a lot of, I don't want to say mystical insights. That's of course there because this is such a mystical full moon eclipse that's happening on Tuesday and the whole week is shaded by that. But there's a lot of soul purpose, soul gifts that can be reclaimed and opened up and seen during this time. Full moons are revelatory. It's a full moon on Tuesday. This is a revelatory week. May my path forward be revealed. We have Hecate on the sun. She's queen of the crossroads, right? Queen of the witches, queen of the crossroads. She can see past, present, and future all simultaneously. And she can point out, here, this is your path forward. This is your highest path forward. This is the path forward that fulfills your heart's desires. That's going to be a big one this week. Heart's desires, not just what is my purpose? Like, what is my purpose? What must I do in this life before I die? It's also, what must I create? How must love flow through me? How must I experience love, the flow of love, so that my heart is full before I die, right? It's like a both and. Those of you who worked with me over the weekend, we just held massive ReWilding challenge. 16,000, I think 500 of us, 16,000 of us journeyed together live over these 3 days. It was beautiful. It was amazing. And a couple of the themes that came out of that, I'll share this with you because this might help. This flavors the whole week. Empowerment. Like empowerment. What if you were to start seeing your spiritual path as a path of empowerment? as a path of you stepping into truthful self instead of having religious dogma or spiritual new age whatever's glomming onto things? What if it got a little bit purer for you? What if things just really started to like be a focus on truthful self, truthful self, truthful self, right? And my path forward is really just the expression of my truthful self, of divinity through me, in me, of love, of life in me, through me, in the truest, highest, most aligned way that is possible. Feel into that for this week. And if you were part of the challenge, weave all of this conversation into your challenge, right? Into the journeys that you went into the experiences that you went into. If you weren't part of the challenge, no stress. Immersion is open. All 36 archetypal journeys are available in that. It's a year-long program. It's a retreat with me every week. It's all 36, the big 36 archetypal energies, the big hitters, right? Lilith, Jupiter, Neptune, all these players that we talk about all of the time in astrology, they're aspects of self, right? They're aspects of self. They're Shaktis. They're sacred energies. They awaken different gifts in us. They awaken different aspects of us. They shift things in our lives depending on those different aspects of us. It's embodied archetypal journeying, right? It's activations of like the Lilith in you. It's an activation of that Jupiter, good luck, grace-filled aspect in you. It's an activation of the Venusian radiance, right? Sensual lover goddess within you, right? And just taking all of these aspects of self, these 36 aspects of self, up to higher and higher and higher, fuller and fuller and fuller, truer expressions of you, right? How beautiful is that? Anyways, doors are open to that until the 22nd, actually the 21st, because our first circle is on the 22nd, which is this Sunday's equinox. And I love the astrology for this Sunday. I love the astrology for this equinox. All right, let's get into this. Let's go day by day now. I think I've given us enough of the overview, and I've given you a way to journey into this really deeply with us, which would be Immersion program. It's an investment, right? It's a year long. It's an investment of your time. It's an investment of your resources. It's an investment, but it's life-changing. It's going to change every area of your life. Those who've graduated from it, this is something we often say in ReWilding, or I often hear in ReWilding, is just, this shit works. I don't know what else to say. It just fucking works. It just changes everything. It just changes everything. The things that you didn't think you could change. It just works. It works. So if that's singing to you, you'll find a link below to find all the details about it. Would love to share it with you. It's big though. It'll change your life. That's all I can say. And some of us, we're like, yep, I'm in. I'm in for a fuller, truer expression of myself. I'm in for living closer to my purpose. I'm in for accessing more of my life force, more of my vitality, more of these sacred energies that run through me. And for some of us, it's, I'm good. I don't know if I want that much transformation, that much awakening that fast. So very much respect your path forward, but that is an option. And again, it's only an option until Saturday, the 21st of September, because doors close after that. Okay, let's go day by day now. So Monday, that's the day that this video is coming out. That's where I'm creating this, is Venus is opposing Chiron. I think this is challenging. I think this can be crunchy. I think this can be triggering in many different ways, but I also think that it can really point to healing. Like it's going to flavor this eclipse. It's going to flavor this week with healing. Heart healing, that's Venus. Healing of the heart. Remember I said Venus, that archetypal energy, is goddess of love, radiance, beauty, right? So that healing of the heart. Now also, if we were to flip that over and we go, Chiron is the wounded healer, that's the shaman in you. So the shaman in you also being kind of lit up by the lover goddess, kind of lit up by the lover goddess, like her Shakti, right? That's a sacred energy, Venus. Her Shakti is kind of lighting up Chiron. So it's kind of illuminating Chiron. Her radiance is shining on him. Her life force is being poured onto Chiron in an opposition, which is challenging. So it's like she's kind of illuminating Chiron and wanting for your soul's path forward. Chiron is very much a soul point. Like, what is your soul here to do in this life? What are some of the greatest gifts that lie behind some of the deepest wounds? That's Chiron, right? Also just very shamanic. It's a very much of an initiatory energy. You get initiated into, that's Chiron. Initiated into often by wounds, often by tough, challenging experiences, but you get initiated into it because that's where the wisdom lies. Chiron, great wisdom, great, great, great wisdom. So this is just being lit up, shining a light on the shaman in you, shining a light on the wisdom in you. Like you're a wisdom keeper, but sometimes it's underneath wounds, right? Sometimes it's underneath hard life experiences. So that's how the week kicks off. Okay, that'll add to our eclipse, right? Because eclipses are very much soul moments in time. So if we've got this soul point Chiron being lit up and the heart, matters of the heart, really feeling this heart being involved very much this week with all of these feminine archetypal energies at play. I mean, Parvati's on the moon, right? Parvati's on the moon. Parvati is conjunct Neptune, conjunct the full moon on this eclipse. I mean, that's feminine heart. That's a whole sovereign feminine heart, right? That's the sacred union, right? That's the wisdom of the sacred union dancing in that. All right, so let's move to Tuesday. Tuesday is this full moon eclipse. This is where it gets crazy mystical, super spiritual. Full moon is in Pisces. It's conjunct Neptune. That's just adding to this mystical energy, right? Mystical, spiritual, like divine mind. You're just plugged into divine mind. Forget logical, rational, right? You're going to need to go to divine mind, mystical mind, and intuitive aspect of self to really get the revelations. And there's a lot of revelations available. It's a full moon. It's a full moon eclipse, so it is very revelatory. Full moon eclipses are also about releasing. So we want to think like the R words, revelatory and releasing, right? Full moons, things have come to a completion, a culmination. And so you want to think in an eclipse season, it's a karmic completion. It's a karmic culmination. So it's like bigger. It's bigger. Like it could be that you're working like ancestral karma is coming to a completion in you. You may or may not be aware of it. Relationship karma might be coming to a completion. So interestingly enough, got to talk about this because this is really powerful for this eclipse, is that the sun and the moon, they are in Pisces and Virgo, but the nodes of fate are in Aries and Libra. Okay, that doesn't have to make any sense to you, and that's totally fine. Nodes of fate are part of eclipses. It's what makes it so soulful. Those are on the relationship axis. The sun and the moon, though, this is the first time, this is rare, this is auspicious, this hasn't happened, this won't happen, this hasn't happened like 18 years, it's not going to happen, right? Because it's lighting up both of these. So the sun and the moon are on the spiritual axis. Pisces, Virgo. Pisces, like that's the other side of the veil, right? Like that is the most spiritual sign in the whole of the zodiac. Virgo is Earth Priestess, right? So you've got the spiritual axis and the relationship axis lit up. Mix those two, what do you get? You get soulmates. You get twin flame type stuff. So that can be coming up. So it could be coming to completion around twin flame type stuff, soulmate relationships type stuff, trauma bonding, codependent relationships, boundary type stuff. What is your highest path forward to do with relationship, to do with intimate partnership, to do with self versus other? It can go beyond just intimate partnership and beyond relationship on self versus other, right? Like where are you being asked to go? This is something really powerful to reflect on, and it won't just be on Tuesday. This is kind of the whole of the eclipse season. Will be shaded by this. Powerful, really powerful. I see some big healing happening here. I see some big letting go of some of the things that were holding us back, like watery boundaries, letting that go, or dynamics between like vampire blood donor, like, whoa, I'm just done. I'm just done. So that's something that could maybe take you a little bit deeper of what am I just done with? Eclipses. What am I eclipsing out of my life? This full moon eclipse is about what is being eclipsed out of my life, out of my life, out of my life. It's a shedding. It's a letting go. So just really feeling what is that, shedding, letting go, feeling into like what has come to completion, what has come to culmination. And so that's on Tuesday that happens. All right. Let's keep going. I know this is a lot. It's a big week. And I do just want to say, let me feel for a moment. I don't want to just like blah, 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 rattle off words to you. I want to give you something that feels like it's coming from like that wise place that would really serve. It's a week where if we put a little bit of conscious focus into it, a little bit of conscious intention, like if you just held the intention for this week, my highest path forward, my highest path forward, may my highest path forward be revealed to me. May I see the things that guide me in the way for my highest path forward. May I make the moves that take me to my highest path forward. May I trust something much deeper and wiser inside of myself. Let me trust that soul essence. For those of you who are in the challenge, we work with that divine spark. If you weren't there in the challenge, don't stress about it. Go join Immersion. No, you can feel into the divine spark in you. And you like, let me move from that divine spark in me. Let me move from this soul essence. Let me tap into something deeper. Let me open to something wiser in myself, which is like a soul point, a divine spark point within myself. And that can really, really bring you so many things this week that we would not normally see, that you would not see this week, because the veils are so thin, because it is an eclipse season, because it is a full moon eclipse, because of where things are. I'm going to talk about this kite coming up on Friday. Okay. So that's Tuesday that happens. Now, Wednesday, I want to talk about this Wednesday, what I'm about to talk about. This also flavors Tuesday. So Wednesday, it gets a little bit deeper. So we've got Mercury opposing Saturn. This is where the mind is just not really going to work all that well this week, especially Wednesday, right? Saturn's going to lock up the mind. Saturn is Father Time, Lord of Karma, right? So he's almost coming in and he's like, yep, we're going to like shut down the left brain logical mind so that we can like reboot you from like a karmic standpoint. Mercury then on Friday, we'll talk about that. We'll get to that, but he squares Jupiter. So the mind is just doing some really funky stuff this week, which is why I'm inviting us to go to a deeper, more intuitive place within. Like, let that deep wisdom place within, right? We have gut brain, we have heart brain, we have, all different sorts of wisdom centers, right? We just know what we know, and we don't necessarily know how we know it. That's the voice that we want to follow. The still small voice within, the still small voice within. I'm telling you, if you go all week, every day, and you just kind of have this mantra, you hold this mantra this whole week of like, let me follow the still small voice within. Let me hear the still small voice within. May the still small voice within be louder this week. And you follow that. Oh my God. The kinds of changes that are going to happen in our lives, the things that are going to drop away and heal, and like all to propel us down our true north line. That's eclipses. That's this whole week. To propel you down that true north line, right? True north, like your truest true north, your highest path forward. That's the North Node in astrology. And again, that's lit up because of the eclipses. This is the first of two eclipses. The next eclipse happens on October 2nd. All right, so that's Wednesday. Mercury's opposing Saturn. Pluto gets up in the mix. Pluto's doing a dance with Saturn. It's going to get louder and louder, kind of peaks on the 25th. So just know that's Father Time, Lord of Karma, Saturn, Lord of the Underworld. Right? Deep transformation, death for rebirth. This is like a big playoff. This is also kind of like Pluto moving in that final degree of Capricorn before he makes it into Aquarius for the final time. This is exacerbating that. This is exacerbating power in old dynamics. Saturn's representative of Capricorn, the old dynamics, the old ways. So just knowing that this could be coming up, power plays, looking at power. How are you cleaning up power? What's your new way of wielding power? What is a healthier way of wielding power? Instead of power over, it's like power with. Let me be empowered. This immersion program, I'm watching the foundations of it be built. There's about maybe 10, 15 people in this journey as I'm talking about this with you. Again, this is that program, that year-long program that starts on Saturday. Doors close on Saturday. We start on Sunday on the Equinox. But I'm seeing that this whole year, this journey is very much about empowerment. Like empowerment in let me feel empowerment in a way where like Pluto is moving out of that like very karmic fated degree of power over in Capricorn into power with. I'm empowered. I'm tapped into a newer, truer sense of power. This power that moves through me. It's not to disempower another. It's not to overpower. It's a power. My empowerment inspires your empowerment. Your empowerment inspires my empowerment. It's that kind of an empowerment, right? It's that kind, and it's a very unique empowerment to you, right? It's you as truthful self empowered. You as truthful self. You in your greatest potentials. That's North Node. That's true North path, right? You and your greatest potentials. You and your unique genius. It's that. So watching that And I feel like this eclipse season, and all the eclipses, you know, they last for like another 6 months until the next eclipse comes along. But this eclipse season has a lot to do with that. So just know over the next 6 months, it's a lot about empowerment of self, whatever that means for you, Think about the thing that makes you the squirmiest about you, standing in your full gifts, you standing in your power, you having a voice maybe, or you singing your song, or you dancing your dance, or you doing your art, whatever that is, you know, whatever it is that's truest to you. All that comes up with that, right? Marianne Williamson, it is our power that we are the most afraid of. It's not the fear of failure, it's the fear of our infinite amount of power that we're the most afraid of. Anyways, let's keep going. All right. So that's Wednesday. Then we get to Thursday. This is where this cool kite starts to happen. So we have the Sun trine Uranus on Thursday. But because the Sun is trine Uranus, they're at 27 degrees. Pluto's at 29 degrees. Remember I said that like final degree, that super karmic-y degree, right? You have the Lord of the Underworld, like death, rebirth, deep transformation, shadow worker. He's loud. So he's now trining the Sun. And then the Sun is also trining Uranus. So they're in this Grand Trine, right? Like they end up in this, it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because first it's that the Sun trines Uranus perfectly on Thursday. Get this, here's where the kite starts to come into play. Friday, the Sun opposes Neptune. We got all these big outer players all in an alignment with the Sun. The Sun is self. The Sun is conscious self. It's you. You've got deep transformation, death and rebirth. You've got the mystical mind switched on, the mystic, right? Cloud of unknowing. Let me dissolve all of your old patterns. Let me drop in your spiritual self, right? There's way more to this world and to you than you have any idea about. That's Neptune basically saying that, right? That's him over there in the kite. He's opposing the Sun, so he's over there in the kite. Pluto's on one side, and then we've got Uranus. What the hell, right? Uranus is almost like eclipse-like energy, where it's spiritual awakening, it's soul awakening, it's life awakening, it's life force awakening. We don't have to feel super spiritual about Uranus, but he's literally like, I don't really care what it takes, like how much shock and awe I have to bring you, how much I have to rip away from you to get you to move further into your great potentials. That's Uranus. He's like, I'm going to get you pregnant. Surprise, right? That's him. It's like, to expect the unexpected. Surprise, I'm going to get you pregnant because you weren't able to cognize the fact that that's your highest path forward. So I'm just going to make that happen for you, right? Or I'm just going to, the relationship suddenly ends, right? Like that karmic relationship, right? It's come to completion, but we weren't able to like let go of it. Uranus is like, whooshka, gone, right? He's like lightning bolt energy, and he'll just move things away. But it's not just removing things from us, it's also bringing things in for us. So know that this is a kite formation. It's very auspicious. To me, this is amazing energy to work in. It is amazing energy to work in. I love that we're launching Immersion in this energy. This kite's lasting all through the weekend. So we get together for that first circle, right? This year-long program into all 36 archetypes, which P.S. we go into Uranus. We go into Pluto. We go into Jupiter, into Saturn, into Neptune. All of these are parts of self. We go in there, we activate, we work with these parts of self. Anyways, I don't need to talk about that. You can find all the details. I have a little video over there. It's like a 10-minute video, and you can just go check it out. You can also go look at what the 36 archetypes are. So some people are like, Sabrina, what are the 36 archetypes in ReWilding? What are you talking about? They're all listed out there. So even if you just want to go to the page and go check out the 36 archetypes, maybe watch the little video, go for it. There's a link below. Just look for IX, Immersion Experience, IX. You'll find all the details below. We usually put a little rainbow by it, right? IX with a rainbow. It's because it's like full spectrum living, right? All these parts of self, like full spectrum living, like true shining self, like true full colors, true you. Anyways, can you tell I'm pretty excited about that program? Okay, so let's keep going. So that kite is happening all weekend. I think that's really powerful. I think that's very transformative. And I think we can work very consciously with it. when we can start to use some of like spiritual tools, some guided journeys, some altered states of consciousness, but we have to work very intentionally and very consciously with it. So either you're holding a space for yourself to work very intentionally, very consciously, and intentions should be something around my highest path forward, my greatest unfolding, my true self, my true full self coming to light, my next level of true full self, my next truest self. What is my soul purpose? What is my soul? What are my soul callings, right? What are my heart's deepest longings, my heart's deepest desires? Like those are the intentions we want to work with, because it's eclipse season and because that kite is pointing to all of that. This whole week is pointing to all of that. All right, so that could be really powerful. However, you're called to journey into that territory. All right, so then let's see, that's kind of Saturday. We got to talk about that Mercury piece, because we've been talking about the mind. This is where Mercury squares Jupiter. So this, to me, the mind is a little bit messed up. This is why I'm saying, like, go deeper, get to the intuitive places within, make decisions from that place. Deep wise self, deep intuitive wise self place. Look for the guidance, still small voice within. Let that get louder. So I like this aspect, though. Something you could work with if you feel to is Mercury, the mind, square to Jupiter. It's expanding the mind, but it's kind of rewiring the mind. So remember, on Wednesday, the mind got rewired by Saturn, Father Time, Lord of Karma. Like, okay, we're going to constrict things. We're going to contract things. We're going to kind of like karmically, right? Like reboot you, but we need to shut you down in order to give you a reboot. And it's almost like then on Saturday, Jupiter gives the reboot, right? Here's the reboot, but it might be a little bit discombobulating. It might want to over expand things. It's a square, so it's a tough aspect by Jupiter, right? It's like kind of saying like, here's where you're limited in thinking. Here's where I want to blow up the box. Here's where I want to get you past current limiting thought patterns. So it's good, but it can take some work to get in there, and it can be challenging around the mind. So again, when making decisions this week, right, go to that deep wise place within, follow the intuition, because it's that Virgo season, right? The Pisces Virgo line is lit up. The sun is in Virgo. It is so powerful. That is all about like Earth priestess, the earthy feminine. We have Medusa and we have Hecate surrounding the sun. They're literally like women's wisdom, feminine intuition, like lit up like a crazy person. Listen to your womb, listen to your deep heart, listen to the still small voice within. Any of those sorts of things that get you into deeper intuitive places will be very powerful and very supportive this whole week, even when it's like having a conversation with your partner, like how are you going to spend your day? Even in mundane simple things can be really powerful to go from a deeper, wiser place within that still small voice, that intuitive place. All right. So then Sunday, we got to talk about this. This is the Immersion kickoff, right? We'll be live. So Sunday is the equinox that happens at 5:34 a.m. Pacific time, U.S. Pacific time, 5:34, early morning. So we're still in that kite. Remember I talked about that kite where it's the sun is trine Pluto, trine Uranus, opposing Neptune. So that energy is flavoring this equinox. Equinox is a balance point. The masculine and the feminine kind of balance point, demand for equality in our masculine and our feminine. And with Parvati on the full moon eclipse on Tuesday, and with Lilith, Black Moon Lilith on the South Node, there is a demand for equality between the masculine and the feminine. Those energies within us and whatever they represent for you or whatever they mean for you, there's a demand for that. So Sunday's very supportive of that. And it's like the gifts of when those two energies are working in harmony, right? When those two energies, the divine masculine and the divine feminine, when those two energies are working in harmony, what is the gift? What awakens in you, right? How can they dance together? Like how can your feminine emotional energy come through as just like raw energy, and your masculine directional force be able to work together, right? They work together. They love each other. They have a devotion to each other. She's like, yes, I will bring the juice, right? Yes, I will bring the aliveness, the life force, the emotional energy, the just like raw energy, right? Yes, I will bring that. And he's like, and yes, I will serve you. They both serve each other. They're both devoted to each other. So that's kind of what's being asked this whole week. And some of us might feel that very deeply. Some of us might not. That might not be the theme that's loud for us. But interestingly enough, so when the equinox happens, that's the sun moving into Libra. We talked about that Libra axis now. So that's the axis the nodes of fate are on. That's the relationship axis, right? So now the sun's moving into Libra. Libra's the scales, it's the balance. And one of the things that Libra can point to, and the scales and the balance, is this equality. Is this equality between many things, right? It's the balance point, the harmony between things, the equality of masculine and feminine, if that's something that's loud for us. So Venus is square to Pluto on Sunday. Remember, squares are hard aspects. They're challenging, but they cause change. There's like a friction that makes change. So if we're going to talk about Venus, we talked about her earlier. Again, this is a part of self. We'll work with this part of self in immersion. So if you're like, wow, I really want to wake up to the lover goddess. I really want to wake up to more of my sensuality. I really want to wake up to more of my pleasure and my bliss and my radiance and my magnetism. I'd really like to just experience this. Or if you don't want to wake up to that for yourself, you really just want to work with that energy to come into next right relationship with that energy. So it's not just it waking up in us and it moving through us. It's also us coming in a next right relationship to that energy in our worlds and in our friends and in our families and in our lovers, right? So anyways, Venus, that aspect of self, square to Pluto, right? The hidden, the unconscious, the shadow territory, that aspect of self, the dark god, the bad boy, right? You can feel into that. And again, that's just another part of self that you could work with in immersion. But all right, enough, Sabrina, enough. So them being square, that's deep transformation of the feminine. That's part of what that's asking for, is deep transformation of the feminine. Another part that is illuminating is Venus's radiance and love. We talked about this earlier because earlier in the week, Venus was square to, what was she doing earlier in the week? She was in opposition to Chiron, right? Remember that? So she's got two tough things going on. So this aspect, this lover goddess, this beauty, this radiance, you know, it's a primary aspect of self. Being that it's a planet, it's louder, it's more prominent versus like an asteroid planet like Pallas Athena. Like this will just be louder in the astrology. So Venus being in this square to Pluto, she's also illuminating with her radiance and her love. She's lighting up the shadow. She's loving the shadow. She's loving what's hidden in you. She's loving your underworld, right? And it's not just shadow, like things we don't want to see about ourselves. It's also golden shadow, potentials. And this is a lot about what eclipse season's about. And those of you in the challenge, we worked with this territory, is those potentials, like what's residing in that south node, the wisdom and the soul gifts in our south node. That's the astrology point to do with the eclipses, right? The nodes of fate, south node, it's those gifts and those wisdoms that want to come in from our past life territory or our karmic territory or our ancestral territory, move through us and be expressed into this life as we walk toward our true north. So how do those gifts and how do those wisdoms that are open in us now, or that continue to open in us, because it's a journey, right? It doesn't stop during this life. We keep opening up to more potentials and more gifts and more soul wisdoms and all of those things. And it's, how does it want to express in this life? How do I express them? How do I bring them into myself, embody them more, and express them outward? And that's your true north. That's your true north. Like people are like, what's my soul purpose? Well, right, like that's a way of talking about it. It's a way. And then you can journey into those points. You can journey into those points. You can activate those points. You can move along that whole line, that south node, north node territory line. We did that in the challenge a bit. We worked with both of those points. We'll do that in different ways with different archetypal energies in immersion. Of course, we go into that stuff in there. So if you missed the challenge, or you're like, wow, I just really am feeling like to embody these things we always talk about in astrology, to understand as above, so below, how they are in me, how they are in the world. This might be for you. But again, doors close on Saturday because we start on Sunday on the equinox. All right. So much love to you all. It is amazing to be here with you. Just thank you all for showing up here on YouTube. Thank you for those of you who were in the challenge. Y'all just like love bomb the whole of the community. It was crazy amazing. I know some of you are still going through stuff. If you didn't get an email, send us an email, support@rewildingway.com. If you're like, wait, what? I signed up. Let us know. Like we can try to sort you out. We're just here. We just love you. The Facebook group, there's a ton of stuff happening in there at the moment. I don't know what else to tell you other than like happy eclipse, happy week, happy full moon, happy equinox. Just a lot of gratitude and a lot of love to you all. Thank you all.